That's what I'm talking about. It is well with my soul. I was a couple weeks ago at Riverside for an installation for Reverend Darlene Dunning. And their choir sang, and they had 4 gentlemen in their choir, and have like 5 steps up, and the 4 gentlemen would, 2 on each side and they would lead the ladies up and down every time the choir would sing. And when I got up to speak, I said, I gotta get me one of those, because that's just so cool. And we got one, Ron. Yes, that was lovely watching you do that. That was so perfect. That's a perfect manifestation of just last week, right? Okay, PeekaBoo. Look at somebody and go, PeekaBoo. Just do the PeekaBoo thing. Come on, you know what it is. Do it to somebody over there. You remember doing it. PeekaBoo. I mean, right? It's like, whoa. It was just, I really liked that. And when the idea of PeekaBoo for a talk title came to me, of course, I was like, what? PeekaBoo? But then, amazingly, I looked up the game PeekaBoo, and it's such an important part of our mental development. PeekaBoo is all about object permanence. See, we don't understand that, as we don't come into the world understanding that. We come into the world, it's all about me. Look at my fingers and my toes, you know? And so the thing that's outside of us gets developed through the game called PeekaBoo. Because when it goes away, in the baby's mind, it's gone. So the game of PeekaBoo reminds us oh, mommy's still there. I'm gone. Oh, mommy's gone. No, mommy's still there. And that develops this idea. When you cover the toy with a blanket, after a PeekaBoo game for a while, the kid knows the blanket is under there, and they'll go reaching under there for the toy. Before that, you cover the toy with a blanket. The toy does not exist anymore. And whoa, does that not happen for us with God? It's like it's under the blanket. We do not have object permanence when it comes to God. God plays PeekaBoo with us all the time, and we forget. Oh, that's such a shame to think about that. We miss it. And so when God shows up, we're surprised. Oh, there's a toy under the blanket? Oh, my God. No, it's always there. God is always there. The wholeness of the divine is always present for us, but we forget. Kind of like me with names. But I'm working on that. Okay, all right. If you think, now, if you know I don't know your name, don't do this. But if you think I should know your name and I forgot your name, raise your hand. Go, Gary, shut up. Daryl, you too. Rude. Gene Flath. Okay. Oh, stop. Edith, go away. Too late, Sherry. Where are you? Too late. I remembered you. I got that. Carlyle, Carlene. I was in the neighborhood. All right. Who else? Okay, that's Rosalie. Tell me. No, not you. I don't know you. But I know you now. You're Kathleen. I was pointing behind you because I can't remember your name. Peggy. PeekaBoo. But the point is, I have to practice to remember the names. We have to practice to remember God. We really do, because life is designed for us to forget. That's why Dr. Holmes says we've been left alone to make the great discovery for ourselves. That great discovery is that God is always present, always a part of us, always available to us. But we forget. He writes in one of his books, Dr. Holmes says, we must, in the textbook, we must know definitely and consistently that the universe is for us and not against us. And as we know that, as we come to know that and come to understand that we live in this wholeness that is for us and not against us, something really incredible begins to happen into our lives. We begin to get into the wholeness of God, and we realize that there is this undivided, individualized, indivisible expression taking place as a part of us and unfolding as a part of us. See, God is synonymous with the idea of wholeness. This week I was at Shana's Spiritual Renewal and Enrichment Spa, which is really a lovely event. And we're going to have to do something at Eden Gardens, Because how many of you know Eden Gardens? It's just on the other side of us. It's like in Moore Park, just inside Moore Park, down Tierra Nevada, right after you get underneath the 23 freeway, the first left turn. Looks like you're going into a nursery. This place is exactly as its name says, Eden Gardens. We're going to do something there. I got to do it because it's so incredible. So that got me all off my point. God is wholeness, Eden Gardens. It'll come back to me later, who knows. As a tangent, they flew right out. But here's another thing. Let's do this instead. Now, if there is God is this wholeness idea, right? God is this wholeness idea. Oh, I know what it was. It was that people were talking about, I did this talk, and I asked people, how many of you had a higher power, believed in something larger than yourselves? And it was interesting that because this was not a church event, that not a lot of people had that higher power idea. And so I was like, okay, so how about if you could go down to the ocean and stop the waves? Can you do that? And they were like, no, I can't do that. Okay, then the ocean could be your higher power. Or if you could stop the sun from rising, could you do that? No, I couldn't do that. Okay, then let the sun be your higher power. I like to think of my higher power as universal presence, and that's a long word, so I kind of come down to, in the end, God, because it's nice and convenient. So if you have a problem with the word God, I hear you. I get it. But allow it to just show up, because it's a great shorthand word for all the other things. Everything else that you could say to describe the higher power, universal presence, the great somethingness that exists in the universe, it takes a lot of verbiage. You could just go straight to God and know that God is synonymous with wholeness. And if God is whole, the entire totality of everything, yet we live in an infinite universe, just whoa, God is big. That's a lot of stuff going on. And that means that within this universal wholeness, this infinity, just think about it for a minute. If you can, if you dare, if you don't want your brain to blow up as if you're in Paulette's class, think about infinity for a minute. And think about how big infinity is. Whoa. Right? Right? We can't pull that off. However, what we can pull off is the understanding that PeekaBoo, God is always there, the wholeness is always there, and the wholeness is in something called infinity. That means that whatever I can think of is available to me because it's existing in this thing called infinity. And something even beyond that. Everything I can't think of is there too. What I know is there, what I don't know is there, which is something I know because I know that I don't know it, right? But what I don't know that I don't know is there. The expression of life that's beyond what I could even imagine or think of is there as well. Look at brothers and sisters sitting together. That's so cute. Did you know they're brother and sister? You knew that? Them, right there, right. Rick and Joan. This thing called God that expresses as this thing called life is pretty phenomenal. Dr. Holmes describes it like this. He says, the nature of God is wholeness. The nature of wholeness is happiness. The nature of happiness is peace. The nature of peace is harmony. And the nature of harmony is joy. God is joy. God wants us to express as joy. And you guys have a minister whose mission in life is joy. I tell you the story about my mom and my brother went to this workshop together. It was like this beautiful workshop they did. They processed the mother-son relationship. They did all these things together for the whole weekend, and they were up there in San Francisco, and I went up to have dinner with them, and at the end of the dinner, they said, yeah, this thing was great, and we wrote mission statements for each other's lives. And they read their mission statement, and it was just so beautiful. It was all these lovely, flowery words, and I was just like, oh, really touched, And then I said, Mom, what's, sibling rivalry. Mom, what's my mission statement? She goes, oh, to spread joy. To spread joy. 3 words? I only get 3 words, but do you know how special that is to have a mission to spread joy? That means my mission is to express God. And you know what? That's your mission too. To express God. To be joy in the world. Joy in the world. No, that's not the way it goes, but I think it should go that way. Yes. To spread joy. Now, life has caveats. You know, my dad said, hey, you could borrow the car, but you got to put gas in it. Dang, then I had to get a job. I wonder if I can remember this joke. Reverend Larry tells this joke. It's about a kid who wanted to drive the car. Let me see if I can get this right. And his father said, okay, you can drive the car if you cut your hair, get a job so you can pay for your insurance, study the Bible, and get your grades up. So he worked really hard that summer and he got a job. And he studied the Bible, and he went to summer school, and he got his grades up. And he went to his dad, and he said, well, I did those things. And the father said, but you didn't cut your hair. And the son said, well, Dad, Samson had long hair, and Moses had long hair, and Jesus had long hair. And the father said, and they walked everywhere they went. You see, freedom has its downside. We all live in a world of liberty and freedom to make the choices for our lives that we want to make, but they come with consequences. And many times, the consequences of our freedom are a result of our own limited use of the nature of the universe, our own limitations that we place. God, Jesus said, fear not, little flock, it is my Father's pleasure to give you the kingdom. But we have not learned how not only to receive the kingdom, but how to use it. Sometimes it takes something tremendous in your life to lift you to that place where you can learn that lesson. But we don't have to have a tremendous action in our life to make us learn that lesson. We can just practice our object permanence and remember that God is always there in its wholeness, ready to give us the gift, ready to give us the kingdom on a regular basis. Dr. Holmes says, we are free only by virtue of the possibility of choosing more than one course of action as an experience. I put before you this day blessings or curses. What shall you choose? And the law of cause and effect is what allows us to do that. We have these spiritual laws that are put in place to allow us to make the choices so that what we choose is a free choice toward something good in our lives, toward that nature of God unfolding, which is joy itself. But it takes seeing that. And not just the physical scene of the faces in the room that remind me that who your names are and who you're all about and how much love I have for each and every one of you. And as I get to know you more, I wish I had more days. I keep telling them every week, if we could put another day in the week, because it just doesn't seem like there's enough time to do all the things that we want to do here. So I remind myself, we're running a marathon, not a sprint. Eventually we will get to all the ideas that are coming around. So stick around. I am full of ideas for us, but it will take some time for that to unfold. But I'm seeing them. I'm seeing them physically, and I'm seeing them emotionally. I'm seeing them in my brain. Hey, I see, bing, the light goes on. We have to know that we have that ability to see. We must see that we are evolving individuals, and that this evolving individual is an instantaneous spontaneity, that we have this ability to change our minds. We're not stuck with a decision that we've made already. We can flip the switch and change the script on our lives right in midstream. The universe does not mind. In fact, it kind of likes that. Have you ever looked at lightning? It's only trying to get to the ground, but it takes a major wild course on its way down. Or up, actually, is what happens. It's meteorologically sound. I'll tell you about it later. You can talk to me after the service, and I can explain how lightning, I'll just tell you right now, lightning actually, there's this charge that takes place, negative and positive ions trying to come together. And when they come together and they release, there's the lightning. But the lightning is actually, the light is going like this, but you don't see it that way because it happens so fast. And the thunder noise, you know what that is, right? The air molecules are moving so fast as a result of the lightning strike that the air goes back around and smacks into itself. That makes the noise. Isn't that interesting? I thought that just blew me away. I was like, really? Is that how that happens? Science is amazing. So is seeing. So is the practice of playing peekaboo with God, for seeing the permanence of its presence in your life. Meister Eckhart has a beautiful quote about that. He says, "The eye with which I see God is the same eye with which God sees me. My eye and God's eye are one eye. And he goes on to say, one seeing, one knowing, one love. The way God sees us is to see us as love. And since we are the expressions of God, each and every one of us, when we see another, we are really seeing love. We have the opportunity to choose that. We are free to choose that. You can decide if you want to that you're not seeing love, but that's your choice, and you're going to limit your experience of life by that. Or you can decide that despite what I might be thinking with this part of my brain, this heart part of me is saying there is love. And in that seeing, there's a healing going on. And we have the ability to be that part of that healing going on as we live in the possibility of the wholeness opportunity that is before us on each and every day. Remember, wholeness equals God. God equals infinity. That means the answer is there, even if we don't think it is. Even when we just give up. In fact, sometimes giving up is the best thing you can do. Surrender. I'm done. I don't know. And then you get quiet and, oh, I see. And you get the idea. Because God's eye and your eye is the same eye. We need to go out and seek the good on a regular basis. Seek the good. And know that it may be routine, but life is not boring. There's no such thing as a boring life. There was this, do you remember the Facebook commercial? I don't think it was Facebook. I think it was Toyota. It was a Toyota commercial, and the little girl was sitting behind her computer, and she's going, "That's not a puppy." It was for like Toyota, and she was afraid that her parents weren't having any fun, and she was encouraging her parents to have a Facebook account and to get some Facebook friends. Just, my parents have 19 Facebook friends. I've got 650. They need to go get a life. In the meantime, they bought this new Toyota RAV4 or something, and they're out like mountain biking with all these people, and then they're going off and they're having lunch, and she's just sitting at home behind her computer going, they're just not having a life. This is really a life. That's not a puppy. It's a cute commercial, but it's not life. Life is what her parents are out doing. Life is when we're engaged with one another and we're doing things together. Like going to this is not a pitch for the party, but like going to the party, or like going to the spa renewal last week, or just going to lunch with somebody after the service, heading over to the junkyard for their early morning breakfast, which is only $5. Where's my coupon? Oh, there it is. That was a pitch. That was a pitch. As is Wednesday nights with Patrick. How was that, by the way?
Oh, it was great fun.
It was great fun?
The band was phenomenal.
Phenomenal band. I love it. I love it. But there are these opportunities every single day. If you find yourself, and we all get there. I know I get there. I get in tortoise mode, and I just want to go home. I want to isolate. I want to cover up in my bed. It's so comfy. But I force myself to get out, because once I do, whoa, the infinity and the good of life just starts to show up, and things start to come together that I hadn't even realized I was missing out on until I got out there to miss out on them. There is no, here's Reverend Marlene Oakes wrote in this wonderful article, I Begin to Grasp the Infinite. She says, there is no once and for all final arrival. No day when I can sigh a sigh of relief and say, I've arrived. No, you will never arrive. You will not arrive. So quit worrying about arriving and just stay on the journey. Stay living in the infinity of life. Stay living in the possibilities of more good unfolding in your life. And if it's not good right now, that's okay. Right. Just keep going, because there will be something new showing up for you as we live in that possibility. And it begins by retraining our thinking. Retraining our thinking. Taking conscious control of our thoughts and knowing that we're living in that limited space. We need to move beyond our limits. Be done with the been there, done that, got a t-shirt. Okay, put the t-shirt away, go get another t-shirt, do it again. Because how many of you got a favorite book or a favorite movie, right, that you watch over and over again? I know I've been to Disneyland at least a dozen times. I mean, and I still want to go again, because there's something new happening there with each and every renewal. There's something new. Every time I read a Harry Potter book, again, I find something new in that book. I still read my childhood book called The Boy Who Ate Flowers that I got when I was like 6 years old. And I look at it again and go, whoa, I need to grow some of those flowers. It's just the things that we've done over again that we think we're done with, we are never done with. There's no once and for all, do it all. It's a wonderful thing. Dr. Holmes says, we have misdirected the energy which is already for us, hence the importance of re-educating the mind to a more direct perception of its relationship to God. That's the business of religious science right there. This quote does not get played up enough. That is what our business is all about. Redirecting our minds, re-educating our minds so that we can have this more perfect perception of our relationship to the divine, so that we don't have to keep playing peekaboo with God, so that we know that that object is permanent in our lives and we are an expression of that permanent object. We must move beyond our limits. I got something here. Join me together. Let's move beyond. You want to move beyond your limits? Let's do this. All right. Here we go. Repeat after me. There are new thoughts and new ideas coming to me now.
There are new thoughts and new ideas coming to me now.
I am open to that which is larger and better.
I am open to that which is larger and better.
I identify with good.
I identify with good.
I experience peace and joy.
I experience peace and joy.
PeekaBoo, I see you. And PeekaBoo, I see God. That was fun.
That was good.
Was it?
That was great. Capital G, big O.
Yes.
Little O.
Big
capital
D. Good.
That was good.
Thank you. Wow. Colin, that was sweet. You scored. Here's my junkyard coupon. You can have it. That was really sweet. Let's do our affirmation together, shall we? From the slightest glimpse to the fullest view, I behold the wonder and wholeness of creation in all I see. And so it is. Let's pray it up, my friends. Thank you, Betsy. Reverend Betsy Haas. Want the teaching symbol showing? Yep. Lovely. See a few prayers inside. We all have that spirit in our hearts that is a healing spirit. We really have a powerful teaching that allows us to know that our word truly does not return unto us void. So we are going to use that word right now as we speak the truth. That there is one life, that is wholeness, that is infinity itself, that is limitless in its possibility, yet present in its reality, that shows up in our lives as joy, as peace, and harmony, and right action, and goodness, abundance, and prosperity. We are filled with ideas, each and every one of us. We are filled with possibility, each and every one of us. And we take that reality of those two ideas, possibility, information, energy, and we pull it all forward into the lives that we live. We make choices, each and every one of us, that are designed right and perfect to emerge the full wholeness that life has available to us. I speak a word of encouragement and conviction in the demonstration of God's good in our lives. I know that we stand at the threshold. Behold, I knock. I am at the door and I knock. And we all say, come in, Spirit. Come into my heart. Come into my mind. Propel me forward into my good. I am open. I am willing. I am able and I am available. So if you're ready to surrender to the divine, if you're ready to live your God self, let your Godling explode into expression in life. If you're feeling grateful for that opportunity, affirm it with me now as we release this prayer into the law by saying, and so it is. Yes, indeed.